Welcome to Writers Anonymous YouTube channel. Writers Anonymous presents Even Stranger Stories. Episode 13. Kevin.
He was the fittest guy I'd ever seen. His muscles rippled underneath his tight, crisp, white t-shirt. Biceps, triceps, pecs, and a six-pack to die for. He was an utterly amazing specimen of human flesh, bone and muscle, and women everywhere flocked to see him. Men hated him, but someone, probably his devoted mother, thought to name him Kevin. Kevin, I mean, come on now. I apologize to all the Kevins of this world, and their mothers, but, and this is just my personal opinion, when you think of Mr. Universe, you don't expect him to be named Kevin, do you? Nuff said. Anyway, despite his unfortunate name, Kevin was, quite simply, amazing. Every year, our small village held a contest to find Bosford's strongest man, and, so far, Kevin was the undefeated, undisputed champion. The crowd of mainly women, and a few envious men, had gathered around the two huge, 44-ton trucks in readiness for the first part of the contest, which was, who could pull their truck down a 100-yard stretch the quickest. Taking the strain, Kevin and his contender Brian waited for the klaxon, and then they were off. Thigh muscles bulged as, very slowly, the two huge metal beasts began to edge forward. Kevin's face was a picture of sheer determination as he strode ahead, dragging the truck behind him. It was a close race. As they approached the finish line, Kevin gave a last-minute tug and then let out a guttural growl as the referee announced him the winner. He sunk to his knees, in a victorious bow. The crowd cheered wildly. No one seemed to notice that the truck was still rolling. Within seconds, the cheering turned to cries of utter horror as Kevin's left leg suddenly disappeared under the giant wheel of his truck. He was powerless to do anything and was soon swallowed up by the enormous beast. Someone tampered with the truck. The papers are saying it's the perfect murder, I told my sister, Carrie, over breakfast the following morning. The motive? Probably a case of bad name phobia.
I have to admit I am defeated in finding a decent segue between the death in this story and the next. Suffice to say, death happens. Killing time.
My brother had been a thorn in my side for as long as I could remember, a bully of the highest order. You expect your elder sibling to take care of you when you are growing up, he never did. If I was beaten up at school, which happened quite often, he would invariably join in. When we got home, he would put on his best act and tell our parents how he tried to stop them from attacking me but was outnumbered. I saw the warning flash in his eyes as he spun his lies, so I didn't dare contradict him. The hate just festered like a raging furnace. One day, I thought, I will get you for this. The opportunity, when it came, seemed too good to miss. After another punishing day at school, I laid on my bed, head buried into my tear-soaked pillow. A sound interrupted my sobbing, something like paper being torn, and I looked up. My room was gloomy as I had closed the curtains, so it took me a moment or two to find the source. A dark, door-shaped shadow had appeared against the opposite wall. It shimmered as if in a heat haze, but I could see nothing within it. With some trepidation, I climbed from my bed, feeling drawn towards this apparition. As I got closer and my eyes became accustomed to the dimness, I could make out a room behind this door. I passed through, feeling a short blast of freezing air as I stepped across the threshold. It was my brother's room, but not as I knew it. As I made my way across, a baby slept in a cot with a musical mobile toy hanging over the top, spinning lazily. I moved closer, my throat dry. Staring at the baby, I knew in an instant it was my brother, and my heart quickened. This was my chance. I carefully lifted the pillow from under the child's head, as a smile crossed my lips. I was successful, but paid a price. You see, changing history has consequences. After the death of my brother, Mum and Dad decided not to have any more kids. So now I no longer am.
In certain circumstances people have the power over life and death, but fate defines who is the recipient. Crowd sounds.
John briefly floated into consciousness. He wondered why his head hurt so. Then he recalled the mountain bike accident at the new track in Hadley. He would never go without a helmet again. He rolled over and ran his hand through his sleeping wife's hair and through his head pain. He smiled. He was lucky. John snapped awake in an instant. His whole body jolted as if he'd been revived by the paddles of a defibrillator. Jane was still asleep, and the clock read 4:47 a.m. What is that noise? He thought as he got up. A very audible conversation was going on somewhere, but the words lacked coherence and direction. He looked out the bedroom window. Up and down the street. Nothing. No one. Snowcat. John span around. The word had exploded from nowhere. He stalked into the lounge. Sleazy trees. Hippos with fleas. Words continued to crystallize from the fog of the low-grade hubbub, and Jane rolled over in the bed. Then, like a portcullis being dropped to shut out invaders, all noise ceased. John waited, but nothing interrupted the welcomed silence. He returned to bed. Pedaling to the cinema with iPod phones embedded in his ears, John pulled up outside and dismounted. He yanked the white wires as he entered. A bit of P&Q and a good film, he thought. But as he took his seat, he looked around agog. Everyone but everyone was yakking, and not quietly. Loud, it was so loud. He covered his ears to no effect. "Shut up, will you?" John screamed. 60 quizzical faces stared at him, each and every one hushing him, telling him to be quiet. He ran from the cinema, and as he burst onto the high street, crowd sounds tore through his head. He felt the need to rip the noises from his skull. Like a loon he shouted, "Shut up! Shut up!" as he cycled to B&Q. He ran in and new release was only moments away. Onlookers could only gape as the crazed man pressed the power drill to his skull and pulled the trigger.